For 6 years, the rivers of South Vietnam have been stained by the blood of fallen men. The people's hope for peace lost in a fog of war. The land is part of the reason. In a good year, the river deltas yield a surplus of 350,000 tons of rice, some of the richest earth in Asia. The envy of their neighbor in the north. For centuries, ancestral tombs have watched over the harvest. A family works the land of their father's father. Their abundance is a mixed blessing. It has tempted an enemy with an appetite for power to invade their land. Nearly 40,000 trained guerrilla soldiers from the communist north have infiltrated into South Vietnam. Known as the Viet Cong, they have organized a war of terror against the people. After 6 years of war, South Vietnamese soldiers are still trying to defend their border against North Vietnam. Their frontiers are almost impossible to patrol. If they secure one trail or search one river crossing, the invader they hunt may choose any one of 1,000 others. At sea, the South Vietnamese Navy has been forced to defend a coastline nearly 2,000 kilometers in length. In February 1965, a ship from North Vietnam was caught unloading 100 tons of ammunition, rifles, machine guns, and heavy weapons on their neighbor's coast. Yet for every ship that can be stopped, others escape the net. With her borders open to infiltration, there is no single line of defense. The young men of South Vietnam must find and disarm an enemy who is scattered throughout their country. The captured weapon is a submachine gun of communist design, the coat of arms for a new doctrine of aggression. For despite agreements promising peace, North Vietnam proclaims the right to make war on its non-communist neighbor. Their main target has been the civilian population. In the past 5 years, the Viet Cong have killed and wounded tens of thousands. Their memory haunts every village in South Vietnam. Many of the victims did not die from the accidents of war. They were selectively murdered for political example, because he would not join the Viet Cong, because they chose to ride a bus when the enemy told them not to, because her husband worked for the government, because her village would not pay rice for protection, because the man of the house taught school, because he was elected to the village council, because they were in the way. For 6 years, the people of South Vietnam have buried the victims of aggression. Their villages are infected by a network of terrorist agents. Those who oppose the Viet Cong are reported, and murder squads come by night to kidnap and kill. At times, their enemy hides in small units wearing civilian disguise. At times, he assembles in regular battalions to attack their villages. In much of the countryside, the Viet Cong have built a wall of terror between the people and their government. the Army can protect most of the country during the day, they have not been able to stop the murders at night. Yet, after 6 years of war, the continuing surprise is not how many are afraid, but how many continue to fight. There are millions with the best of reasons, a majority of Buddhists who despise the war but demand the right to be left in peace, 1 million Catholics whose families fled from the communist north, people with small farms who, according to the Viet Cong, deserve to die. Men who have had to bury their closest friends. It isn't easy or pleasant, but they haven't quit, and the free world is beginning to understand their cause. The American, because he can't see a decent future for his children if aggression is allowed to succeed. Technicians from Japan, who know that aggressive war in the atomic age endangers all mankind. Koreans, teaching the art of self-defense, remembering their own war against communist invaders. Men from Australia and New Zealand, their homelands too close for indifference. Teachers from West Germany, knowing what could happen in Europe if the free world lacks the courage to defend its borders. A medical team from the Philippines. They have seen for themselves what the old line communists really mean by liberation. A bullet for the farmer's son. A grenade for the student. A landmine for the 5-year-old child. In spite of terror, the people are still trying to secure their country. They've made mistakes and there have been failures. But they have begun to build a frontier they can defend, one village at a time. Since the army is not large enough to protect every village, they have tried to teach the people how to protect themselves. The amateur soldiers are sometimes no match for enemy battalions. But with the lives of their children at stake, they have never stopped trying. In spite of war and political upheaval, the government of South Vietnam is sending its children to school. In fact, there are more schools and teachers now than at any time in their history. They teach at the risk of their lives. Their students are as serious about education as any on earth. In villages where security has been established, the work of peace begins. To people in need, the government doctors are heroes. One reason why the enemy marks them for assassination. For the rice farmers, the government provides cheap insecticides and fertilizer. Left in peace, South Vietnam could double its rice harvest. They have learned the use of modern technology and keep a set of modern tricks under their ancestral hats. They're a proud and determined people. Since the war started, they've built this bridge 3 times. In areas that are secure, the people have begun to use their rights and choose their leaders. Elections on the village level combine the traditions of their elders with the ideas of the free world they would like to live in. Many of their young men have paid the price of battle for the right to make their own choice about the future. The candidates have one thing in common. The Viet Cong threatened to kill them both. In a land where there are hundreds of rivers and canals, a sense of personal freedom is part of their tradition. The people are accustomed to going where they want to go, when they choose. Despite efforts by the enemy to choke their economy with fear, the people continue to take their goods to market. They seem determined to move their country into the mainstream of economic progress. Pineapple on a stick, peanuts in a cone, food is still plentiful and cheap. And though life is not easy, very few people go hungry. Along major roads, the signs of their continuing progress are obvious. Freshwater projects, new dams, power lines, and factories. According to the experts, these people are on the verge of major economic growth, provided they are left alone to work in peace. After 6 years of war, the capital city of Saigon still has a talent for life. The markets are full, the factories are busy. They have built their own wheels for the Mandarin past. And university students are still free to study the possibilities of a peaceful future. Their city is at war, but they refuse to live in fear. They have been literate and cultured people for centuries. And though they fought colonialism, the art of modern Europe is part of their intellectual life. If they are allowed to make the future as they wish, it will be a unique mixture of Western thought and their own traditions. Like the popular theater, where the action is as universal as human feelings. Once a year, the children of South Vietnam take the risk of light and laughter. They celebrate a mythical journey to the moon. Armed with sugar cakes and paper lanterns, they defy the terrors of the communist night. When a flare goes off, the moment of peace hangs on the edge of war. One night, it may be only a practice alert. Tomorrow, it could be an attack. The night will flame with the signal to friendly planes. Children will cry at the sudden noise. Men will hope they live till morning. For 6 years, every village in South Vietnam has lived with tension and one fearful question. Will the killers come tonight? With morning, the defenders moved to the attack. 7th Division has received information that a regular battalion of Viet Cong guerrillas has assembled near the village of Ap Bac. Refugees say the enemy has automatic weapons, mortars, and recoilless rifles. They are dug in and heavily fortified. The outcome will depend on the young men of South Vietnam. Their pay is low, furloughs infrequent, and they have suffered more than 50,000 casualties in the last 5 years. On this morning, however, there will be no substitute for their courage. Contact. Their landing has caught the enemy by surprise, but the advance over open ground will be difficult.
Mạnh lên! Tới dọc ra! Dọc ra! Vô! Dọc ra!
Airborne troops in blocking position, a force of armored personnel carriers has come up to make the first assault. Automatic fire, heavy, no chance for the infantry to move. The enemy has hit one carrier with a recoilless rifle. The first platoon is pinned down. No way to advance. The Viet Cong are plowing the field with bullets. Their uniforms blackened by fire and mud, the young men of South Vietnam are paying a high price this morning for their right to be left in peace. They need support. If they can destroy some of the enemy's heavy weapons, maybe they can move. Broken through. The Viet Cong are trying to escape. The fight at Apple Back was a victory for South Vietnam. The enemy left more than 150 dead in the battlefield. The reconnaissance company captured their heaviest weapon. Their civilian disguise failed to hide them. One Viet Cong battalion has been virtually destroyed. By military standards, government casualties were light, but that's small comfort to the men who have been hit. At the cost of pain and sacrifice, they have won a battle for their people. But so long as North Vietnam invades their country, the young men will have to fight. The fence still holds. The night has passed again. If the people have not yet cleared the road to peace and freedom, they have chosen to walk the path of courage until they do. The American people have pledged to walk that road with him until such time as the aggressors see fit to join in the unconditional discussions that could lead to an honorable peace for all.